Hey everyone, Zion over here from Nintendo Life, and we are in Los Angeles, California at Summer Game Fest Play Days. When I say we, that means I'm joined with Ollie.
Yeah, hello.
You have been writing for the site for a long time now, but is this the first time you've been in an actual, normal video before?
Yeah, it's my YouTube debut.
And to think we're starting off Ollie's YouTube debut with Foamstars. We just got done playing the game on PlayStation 5, and we have things to say about it, some pros and some cons. Ollie, do you have anything that you would like to say first about this Splatoon-like game that Square-Enix is putting out?
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing for me is it didn't really feel like Splatoon. I think that's the thing, that there's been a lot of comparisons made between the two, Splatoon and Foamstars, but Foamstars is definitely more of a kind of PvP, straight up kind of, not a death match as such, but you're going after the players, you're not trying to get as much foam on the ground as possible. There might be some...
So I actually, when we were playing, we kind of just got thrown into the game anyways. I didn't know how to win or lose. I noticed the timer ticking down at the top of the screen, which people will be able to see now, but I really thought it was going to be like Splatoon, where we just stick around for that whole time, but we don't, right?
The mode that we played was, I can't remember what it was called exactly, but it was about these kind of star players. So you each have, I think each side has 6 lives each, and as soon as those lives deplete to nothing, then one of the players on the team becomes the star player as such, and that player gets buffed up, and then as soon as that player gets defeated, then it's game over.
Interesting.
That's what I kind of gathered from it anyway.
I guess that makes a lot of sense now why the PR team that was helping us run the demo kept shouting for the star players. The whole time I was just just trying to shoot anyone. And you were saying that the game doesn't really feel a whole lot like Splatoon. I do agree in the sense that, there are lots of special moves. There are big, crazy specials. I really liked, I think it was the character with pink hair that had, they have a special where you turn into a ball and can kind of roll around the map. And honestly, I couldn't tell if I was laying down foam when I did it or if I was defeating supposed to run into enemies. But then there was this other little girl looking character that had fired this massive laser. And when I first did that, it goes all the way across the map. And when I did that, I did it in the practice room on accident before the match started, and it felt I like the specials that we see in Splatoon, but I don't know, it's not that they don't feel as massive, but this felt and maybe the DualSense controller actually vibrating in your hand was cooler than the HD rumble of the Switch, but I really like the specials. I thought that they were kind of just, I don't know, not more unique, but they had weight to them. They were fun.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the coolest things about it was the verticality as well. Obviously, the map itself is more or less flat, but you add verticality in there by shooting the foam out. You obviously don't get that with Splatoon. The Splatoon, with the ink just kind of covers the surface, and that's pretty much it.
You don't walk through the foam and get stuck. Unless if you're walking through the other team's color, right? But
yeah,
I guess that's a good point. I didn't consider that you're changing the layout of the map almost while you play it,
yeah,
right?
Completely at will, and that part was really cool. But there are some similarities with Splatoon. If you go onto your color of the foam, you can surf around and go at higher speeds. If you go on the enemy's colored foam, then you'll slow down. There are some clear inspirations there. But it's we have more cons to say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I guess I will say too that I think, I'll just save it. I'll save it for later. One of the biggest problems, and I think you agreed earlier when we talked a little bit about it, was just that, it feels like it's really hard. Splatoon kind of feels not easy to understand, but I feel like if you've played it for the first time, you understand that it's a good idea to knock out enemies. It's a good idea to fill up the board state with your color, or the map with your color. But this game has so much going on that it was really easy to get lost in the mix, and then when you're getting slowed down in your opponent's, I almost said ink, foam, it just, it's I don't know, maybe I felt a little bit worse because we lost my team lost the first 2 matches, and it really just was what am I doing? I didn't even know that when you're surfing around, you're not actually acquiring more foam. You're not filling that up. There's just a standard reload button for your weapons, right?
Yeah.
And that was something that, yeah, I was constantly, like, in my first match, I was constantly out of foam and not shooting anything because I didn't realize. And yeah, I mean, I felt a bit like a dummy, but yeah, it's really easy to get lost in everything.
Yeah, I mean, the word that we both used when we came out of it was messy.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just messy.
It sounds like a good word to use for, well, not really for advertising, but it's funny how Splatoon is fresh, right? But I guess and Foamstars is messy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is messy in the sense that you're shooting foam everywhere, but I mean, it's messy. Performance-wise, it wasn't great. I mean, I'm sure it was probably an early build, but performance was a little bit hit and miss. The colour of the foam as well, I think it was red versus blue. Personally, yeah. I don't think the colour differentiating was... you couldn't really tell who was who.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because like it was almost like a pastel colors, right?
So yeah, it was
like,
pastel.
Yeah, they were fairly light. You could kind of like see through the foam as well at times, and then like see the silhouettes of your opponents, but then when like attacks start firing, it's so everything just kind of gets lost in the mix, I guess.
Yeah, you just can't tell what's going on. I mean, every character, which in a sense is cool, but every character has different kind of attack patterns. Like some of them shoot bubbles, some of them just shoot kind of just streams of water, which kind of looks like water, but it's like obviously foam. But it just gets so jumbled up together, you just can't see what's going on. And we had obviously the PR guys behind us saying, "Oh, you're doing great, you're doing great." And I'm thinking, am I?
But I guess each of our teams did win 2, I think, right? Did you guys win 2 and then?
Yeah, I think we won 2, and then I think your team got the grasp of things, and then you won. Yeah.
Which was so crazy. And then you leaned over and were like, yeah. And I was like, whatever, Ali. I don't even know how to play this game.
I don't think either of us did.
You play Splatoon as well here and there, right?
Yeah. I haven't actually played Splatoon 3 yet. That's still kind of on the back burner.
Sure.
But yeah, I've played so much Splatoon and Splatoon 2. I love them both so much. Foamstars is not Splatoon, both in kind of premise and quality.
So I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have 2 questions. And I think that kind of... I hope this will get the point across. So Ninjala, I remember when that was first announced, there were a lot of comparisons to Splatoon, and it used bubblegum or something, and I don't even think really, it didn't have any map covering of like traits or anything. Did that game or?
I don't think it did, no.
Okay,
no.
We could be incredibly wrong, but people let us know.
Yeah.
But you know, that game did eventually get to a point where nobody really talks about it anymore, and there's probably people that play, and there's tons of crossovers all the time. There's Neon Genesis and Attack on Titan, and it's really weird. And but it's that game still exists and lives alongside Splatoon. From what you've played of it and you see so far, do you think it like deserves to have a place in the space, and not in like a selfish way of like, oh, Nintendo should be the only one to have a Splatoon-like game? Like, do you think this game could get better?
It can, yeah. It absolutely deserves its place. It's similar to Splatoon in the same way that Tekken is similar to Mortal Kombat. They're both fighters. These are both shooters that kind of have a similar kind of vibe, you know. So it absolutely deserves its place. As I say, right now the quality's not there. We only saw a brief kind of snippet of the game, but we don't know what kind of quantity is there either. Is there going to be more maps, more characters? There's still a lot of questions, I think, to be asked and answered, and yeah, it's very much up in the air. I think it has got some longevity, but whether Square-Enix kind of put the effort in there is a whole other question.
Do you know either if this is going to be a free-to-play game too, or if it is like purchasable with a campaign or anything? Have you heard?
I think it's a full-price game.
Okay.
I think it is. I could be completely wrong on that, but I think it's a full-price game. I don't know if there's any kind of campaign. I think it probably is just straight-up multiplayer at the moment. But
I guess I forget, like Overwatch 1 did that, and so it's, you know, there are tons of games, but I never buy those usually. So if they don't have a story, I just nope out. But my second question for you then was, do you think that people who play Splatoon would find enjoyment in this either?
I think so. I think if they can polish it up, get the content out there, make sure there's enough to kind of get to grips with. Yeah, I think there's room for both. As I say, there are definitely some similarities there, but they both kind of stand on their own, you know. So yeah, Foamstars, it's got potential. I don't think it's there yet, but hey, fingers crossed.
I do agree with all of those points. I really like the character design and direction. I think they're silly and fun, and it is, like, you know, like you said, it's messy. I still was having fun playing in the same room with all you guys too, and even if we were playing online and chatting, I think it still would be a good time. Right now, it's just coming to PlayStation 5 and PS4. We asked about Switch release, and it's funny because most of the time people just say something like, we can't say anything, right? But they were like, right now we're only confirmed for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. So maybe it'll come to Switch eventually. It'd be fun to like get on the field with a bunch of Final Fantasy characters and in this weird space. They have a lot of IP that they could play around with, and Splatoon really doesn't. They do Splatfest crossovers, but you never really get to play as well. I guess Splatoon 1 did this weird thing where they brought Squid Girl was her name. It was like an anime character. I think they only did that in Japan, but I love the potential of being able to play as weird characters in the game. So if Square can do stuff like that, I think that would help too. But
there's definitely an opportunity there. I can't see them doing it for some reason.
Yeah.
I can see them just kind of sticking with the characters that they've got, maybe bring some more DLC in at a later date, but yeah, it'd be so cool to let's get Cloud in there, let's get Zidane, let's get Sora, you know. It could be a fun game. Right now, it's probably not, but we'll see.
It's good to know that like people shouldn't be rushing to throw away their copies of Splatoon 2 and 3 to try and get this. And by the way, I did want to mention as well that when I realized that either motion controls were turned off or they don't exist, but that made me really miss Splatoon a lot. Yeah. And I'm not even good with motion controls, but not being able to move with motion felt really, it made me realize how bad my aim is in first and third person shooters. But maybe if they add that to it, feel a bit more right.
Yeah, it'd be great to have motion controls in. I think that would definitely elevate it a lot more.
Well, maybe someday in 10 or 20 years, this game will be the Final Fantasy, the Dragon Warrior to Final Fantasy, or the Dragon Warrior monsters to Pokemon. I don't know, but maybe someday we'll be looking at Foamstars different. Maybe we won't. Yeah. But regardless, people can let us know in the comments down below what they think of the game, if they have any interest in it, if you feel upset that this Splatoon copy is out there. I don't think people should. Just don't play it if you don't want to. But now PlayStation players will have some kind of Splatoon-like game that they can play with their friends. So, but yeah, let us know what you're thinking. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you go ahead and cover that subscribe button in a bunch of foam, and then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we put up new videos. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Ali, for hanging out with us here.
Bye-bye.
See you later.